gathered once again to see how far down the rabbit hole that Greg will go. Hollywood is a military front. I'll watch it later. This is Armored Skeptics. Hollywood is a military front. The whole thing is a front for the military, I guess. So I don't know. We should see how severe this is getting. At some point, is this just going to be about Britney Spears again? Or Taylor Swift or thereabouts? Is it just going to be another person he doesn't like? Probably a woman. I guess we'll see. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. He's probably going to be totally reasonable.
I've been exposing the media's lies for a really long time now.
You got something in your beard, I think. It's driving me nuts already. Has he been exposing the media's lies? Is that what he is known for? The media's lies detector guy? Alrighty. That's why I'm here, for sure. Green Man sighting, by the way. He's in full Green Man regalia. Did he freak out about the Aurora Borealis at all? Or the sun flare? Did he think the end was coming, or was he fine? I mean, he obviously has uploaded since, so he was a little invested in the future.
And all these years later, I have to admit that I was naive about just how direct the connection was between Hollywood and the military-industrial complex, as well as how much control and how involved the Pentagon is with the content that you consume.
What is it in your beard? It's bugging me big time.
I know that that's a really heavy tinfoil helmet statement, but you're going to understand what I mean in a couple of minutes here.
Did he just wake up when he started making this?
I'm sure you've heard before that the Pentagon has involved themselves in a lot of modern action films, not just investing money in the film, but also lending equipment and personnel. But I've always compartmentalized that idea a little bit too much, not realizing that a lot of the biggest Hollywood studios are functionally fronts for the military-industrial complex, being used to sell American patriotism propaganda, as well as a career in the military directly to your youth, making sacrifice for your nation look glamorous, all while likening your war heroes to the superheroes of Marvel or the X-Wing pilots of Star Wars.
Seems like a good place to stop. So this is... You're gonna freak out, guys. He's using conspiracy theories instead of just being a leftist and understanding the intersection of these things in a little better light. That said, you can't just say the entirety of Hollywood is behind it or is a front for the like they interact in like a marketplace, and the military gives like grants and stuff, and they work on certain aspects of that shit. But there are anti-war movies, for instance. You know, there are movies explicitly anti like America and stuff. Like, you know, it's not just a wholesale front for it. They do other stuff that isn't military adjacent at all. You know, all the time. But yeah, I mean, there is definitely an intersection here, it's weird to just go all out on it though. You know, it's more complicated than that. Like there were there's whole stories of them there being like commies and stuff throughout Hollywood, and then like witch hunts because the people who ran Hollywood were profiled. I mean, not all the people who ran, a lot of the employees, but like were profiled for and McCarthyismed. And blacklisted and stuff due to their anti-American sentiment. So it's like a little bit, yeah, but they did that in other walks of life too. There's just an exposure issue with being a celebrity. Anyway, I don't think he's going to be reasonable, guys.
This era of garbage entertainment is really just a secret recruiting tool.
It's not really that secret. It's not really a secret. It's not a secret one. There are offline liberals who are aware of this kind of stuff. This is, I mean, whatever it takes on his path to deconstructing out of whatever the fuck is going on here. But I don't know. It sounds like he's just digging into the conspiracy about it. It's not. Yeah, it's just not. This isn't information for anyone. I mean, maybe, I guess. Stop spoiling the fun, Jake. You're right. I'm just poo-pooing. I'm yucking his yum. That's my fault.
The way that the Pentagon describes their partnership policy with Hollywood to the public.
Guys, I can't stop looking at the thing in his beard. I need him to do this. It's driving me nuts. Just please. I can't even listen to him. I don't know what he's saying right now.
Almost makes it sound logical.
Okay.
Kind of sounds harmless. If a large Hollywood production like an action film wants to include authentic military performances in their film, then the Pentagon is willing to lend the studio real military equipment like Humvees, tanks, jets, and even skilled military personnel, all for free. And in return, all the Pentagon asks is that they get final say on the script as well as the theatrical edit. Clearly to warp the public's perception around the military, as well as making a career in the
Is it spittle?
military look glamorous.
You're learning about propaganda. Oh, wow, interesting. It's not 100% just that, but yeah, there are instances of this. Yes, that's correct. You think it's spittle? It's beer foam? Oh, man, it's beer foam. So the America you know and love as a Canadian up there, you're going to freak out when you hear Canada does this stuff too. They are an empire. It's an imperial power that has propaganda. Yes. I need you to like really just take this information and stop using it for conspiratorial means and just like understand reality and be your little lefty self that you should be. Like it's crazy.
It has
Please, by the end of this runtime, I hope we're cheering for Greg. He's got to get it. He's wearing his green shirt, Jake. This is Jesus Greg talking to us. Praise him. Oh, shit. He has personalities.
And in some
that's some bread on his chin.
movies, the military involvement is so obvious that it basically breaks the film. Like Man of Steel. I think the worst example is probably Captain Phillips. It's like two completely different movies. Once the military shows up, it just straight up turns into an advertisement. If you wonder how a movie like Oppenheimer can kind of just spin its tires in the mud and not really go anywhere with explaining the true nuances of all the evils behind the creation of the nuclear bomb, that's why. The military intentionally commissioned this film to make it look like they're the ones that handled all of the nasty business around it. They're the ones that punished all the correct people and cleaned up the mess. Funny that...
Is that what Oppenheimer finished on? I don't think it did. I think it was about him, and he's got like a scene with Einstein at the end or some shit, right?
That they didn't include the involvement of any Japanese people in the story to do that. An increasingly frustrating issue with Hollywood films now. If you notice that a film has an obtuse storyline or a really bland, boring character that's impossible to get into, that's not a lazy production mistake.
Man, that's just not... Come on, that's just not true. It sometimes is going to be a lazy production mistake for sure. I don't know why you have to take this to an extreme. It's just silly.
That's the Pentagon's way of making
real.
the character as inoffensive as possible to make the character as accessible as possible to as wide an audience as possible. Making it easy.
That's capitalism, baby. Part of that is capitalism. Like they're just trying to market shit.
Easier for your son or daughter to put themselves in that character's shoes. The Amazon Prime show The Boys is a perfect allegory for what I'm talking about here. In this universe, superheroes are real, and on top of fighting crime...
What is wrong with salami?
So does he like The Boys? How I heard being the military is 6 months sitting in a hole in the desert, then 6 months sitting in a hole in the forest, followed by 6 months sitting in a hole in the mountains. And if you're really unlucky, 6 months sitting in a tin can under the sea with no windows. Is that how it works? That sounds bad.
I'm like a normal superhero, as well as participating in international conflicts like super soldiers. Superheroes are also the celebrities of this universe. And they even play themselves in their own films, creating propaganda and manipulating perception about the conflicts that they participated in.
I hope you have a fantastic day.
Yeah. Creepy doll on the wall. Thanks for the Prime for 31 months. Yes. Let's call a meta joke. Does he not get it though?
And in this show, everyone in this world starts off believing that superheroes are just normal people that just happen to be born with superpowers. But it turns out that's not true at all. Throughout the story, the main character discovers that superheroes are actually chosen from birth from an evil organization and turned into super soldiers using a secret serum. Just like the celebrities
A serum?
of our world, they're engineered from childhood to be propagandizers.
And when he said you are Knuff, I didn't fucking believe that at all. That's propagandized. So what about child stars who aren't child stars anymore? They were thrown out. They were thrown away, discarded by a state who doesn't care. But why were they thrown out though? Because celebrity isn't just engineered, right? You could say, I intend this person to be a celebrity, right? And then if the public doesn't agree, they're not one. You know? Like, if no one gives a shit, no one will give a shit. They refused to comply, that's right, yeah. They were going to expose the world.
And just like the celebrities of our world, those talents they display that everyone tells them are a gift are actually a curse. And in the story, the main character is able to convince the world of this truth because another superhero breaks ranks and spreads this information with him.
Breaks ranks. Is Greg the superhero?
Still waiting on that.
What? Still waiting on what? Wait, who are you the main oh man, he's the main character. Is he the main character?
Able to convince the world of this truth because another superhero breaks ranks and spreads this information with him.
You're waiting for a superhero to break ranks and agree with you to help spread the words?
Still waiting on that.
He thinks he's Billy Butcher. He thinks he's the main character in The Boys. It could be me. Oh, Greg. It could be me. I guess I'm going to have to be the one to break ranks.
I would recommend this show, but don't watch Amazon Prime. That shit's garbage. The scariest part, though, is that in the real world, the Pentagon doesn't at all hide.
He loves virtue signal. Like, watch stuff or don't. I don't care. Like, you gotta do something with your time. Just saying, he's so cringe. Is it safe now? It's not safe.
How involved they are with Hollywood films.
Greg is the deep for real.
Or what it means to them to be able to sell their message directly to you. The military literally has panels at Comic-Con. In their first appearance, they wrote in their itinerary, "The armed forces of the United States have been featured in film and television over the last century." How does the real military support the entertainment industry? U.S. Armed Forces Lieutenant Colonel Blank from Avengers and Hawaii Five-0, U.S. Marine Corps Lieutenant Blank from Battle Los Angeles and Avatar, U.S. Navy Lieutenant Blank from Transformers and Iron Man 2, and U.S. Coast Guard Commander Blank from the Adjustment Bureau and Deadliest Catch.
Yeah.
Offer an in-depth discussion and Q&A. And then it goes on to say this will be the first time that the Department of Defense will be able to participate in a Comic-Con panel. This is a great opportunity to reach out to the future comic book filmmakers. See, even in their own release, the Department of Defense admits that their soldiers double as actors.
Dude, there are soldiers that are like liaisons to movies to help with like accuracy and to provide legitimacy to a film for like extras. Like, this is super normal. This has definitely been a thing the whole time. Like, some of the first, like, Elvis was in the military and was in movies and was singing and stuff. Like, there are other guys that did that as well. There are, Joe DiMaggio, fucking Joe Namath. How much is a grift and how much is Greg just being an idiot? 100%.
Who reenact global conflicts and portray themselves as the good guys. All of those films that I just listed and more were funded by the Department of Defense and used as advertisements for each of those individual armed forces.
Dude, you're gonna freak out when you figure out what, like, NCIS, and all those like Blue Bloods, all those like they're not like reality, but like ripped from the headlines, fucking daily dramas, 911, ambulance or whatever the fuck it's called, FBI. Yeah, bro. The American military visits schools, bro. Are you just Canadian and you just didn't know this stuff? This is like you grow up with an awareness of this, and you either normalize it and just it sits to the back of your head, or you're one of us. You know what I mean? Or you're crazy. That's actually true. You pretty much have just crazies that are aware of this, but they have the wrong, like they don't show their math. You have people who just ignore it and don't care. And then you have us.
This is straight up Team America World Police level bullshit.
Yeah, what do you think this media comes from? Why don't you know
Yeah, in
this?
case you were wondering, NASA too.
Apollo set a huge standard for what we were capable of, and now NASA is looking to make the next giant leap deeper into the solar system and putting people on Mars.
Going to Mars is not like Star Trek. It's not like go where no human has gone before. The scientists have to be there. We have to learn everything because we're planning to go to stay.
Mike, he was
Arlie Ermy? He was an actor because he got found from being that neat.
on the space station a bunch of times, twice, once.
I think there's a fourth category of oblivious people. Well, that's why I said they just like it just fades in the background.
Says the commander, and he also
like I'd say they're oblivious, but they know that the American military is a thing, right? Like, and they just like, oh yeah, ad for the American military, and that's what I mean. We're talking about the same thing.
in the final space shuttle flight Endeavour.
First off, I'd like to say that this is the first time NASA's been to Comic-Con. We're all big fans like you guys are. And
why is he upset at NASA? It's a science community. They're scientists. Look at the scientists up there.
this is what's really neat about Comic-Con.
He's worried about an old San Diego Comic-Con with Seth Green hosting? When was this? 2010?
And NASA, it's a natural fit because we actually, there's a lot of fantasy and fiction and inspiration and all the good parts of humanity, using our minds to imagine a brilliant, different, awesome future. And that's what we do at NASA. We try to bring that home.
I'm a big fan of Velcro.
Dude, so NASA can and does have funding for like military stuff, like when they want to launch shit into space, but like that's not the whole thing. Like they do real science. We learn stuff all the time. Like, man, I was just watching a video the other day on like dark matter. Super interesting. Has anyone considered that dark matter is actually time? Maybe I'm wrong. Do we know what because it sits in a similar. I was just watching the video on it, so I was thinking about it. It like sits in a similar. I don't even know what to call it. Medium of space as dark matter, and it's everywhere. What broke my brain though is space is flat. I mean, not really, sort of. Did you read the three body problem? I haven't. Is time a substance? Time. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Time is a substance. Time is a substance. And gravity affects time. Time is space. Is time space? Space-time is that, but I think space is also all the other stuff inside of it. But I think they're intertwined. Yeah. Anyway, yes. When you've seen that thing, like, oh, they put like a ball on like a like a nylon disc, and then they put like a marble, like a weight on it, and you see it like bend, and they're like, this is how space and time, like the fabric of time or whatever, that's real. It's not like 1-to-1 that way, but yeah, I mean, you can see gravity affect time. Time is an illusion, things make sense. Time is so cosmic time is different than like, oh, I gotta be there at 9:30. But yeah, they're obviously, we're measuring similar things, but on different scales. It's interesting. It's neat.
We had this imaginary space station in the movie 2001, and then we believed it, like we fell for it, and it's like we can build one of those, and we did.
I have a document from the office.
Why? That's so crazy. So like art inspired real life, and you're like propaganda. Is it because 2001: A Space Odyssey, moon landing? Is that what he's doing?
Office of the Assistant Secretary of Defense from 1977, where they were clearly in negotiations with the production here. On the first page here, they're rejecting the proposal to help in the production of the first Christopher Reeve Superman film, stating that the script was too implausible. So this isn't a new thing. Now, you know there's probably nothing on Earth that I hate more than Christmas. Because it's like the titular propaganda season. An old article here pointed out that the Pentagon spends millions of dollars every year invading Christmas films. Their worst offender is obviously Hallmark. Hallmark just creates this never-ending conveyor belt of films.
Dude, they're all red and green. It's the same thing over and over. It must be because they make money on them every single time. Like, look at this. Is it the same movie every single time? That is crazy, dude. This guy up here went with the more of a lime green, and she went with more of like a bright red, and it really fucked up the image. It's just trash. I think my favorite aesthetically is probably these two. They seem like they're having fun with their wreath.
Everybody's made fun of this. In fact, the Department of Defense has a long-standing relationship with Hallmark, producing films such as Operation Christmas Drop, which just so happens to make the
Damn, dude, this propaganda is really getting to us.
Air Force look like they're just a bunch of sweethearts. And a leaked document recently revealed that the military absolutely loves using films and characters for the code names of their operations. In 2024 alone, they listed operations Avatar, Logan, and Point Break. I don't even want to know what the hell they were doing in the last one.
Surfing.
Marvel has both direct and indirect connections to the Pentagon, the Department of Defense, DARPA, as well as a ton of defense contractors.
Our next speaker will be Dr. Alicia Jackson, co-founder and CTO of Drawbridge,
every one of these videos I find myself saying out loud at Greg as you can hear me, where the fuck have you been? We already knew this, right?
new medical technology company that combines the science of chemistry with the fundamentals of logistics. Previously, she worked...
But he, like, goes too far with it, and he's like, every single celebrity and movie you've ever seen has never been a bunch of people trying to make any art and doing a movie that they like. It's always been about the military, industrial complex. Like, you could see these things happen, and we just groan as American audiences. Except Top Gun 2 was pretty good. Top Gun 1 is better, though. But I mean, like, fuck the military. It's not going to change my mind on that. Operation Point Break is just a bunch of dudes firing their guns in the air in frustration.
Worked at DARPA, the Pentagon Center for Disruptive Technology Incubation, where she launched and served as deputy director of the biotech office. And there oversaw projects
biotech is a scary word.
As the refinement of brain-machine interfaces.
Here we are at the home of Stark Industries, where superheroes are made.
I've been working my way up to making a video about transhumanism and the way that the media has been trying to push us into adopting things like computer chips in our brains, as well.
I feel like the general consensus is pretty skeptical on the computer chip brain front.
As genetic enhancements and physiological upgrades. All that ghost in the shell kind of stuff. Well, Marvel's been playing a huge role in pushing the idea of human modification to the public, literally describing it as humans getting their own superpowers.
Ever since I was little, I wanted to be Superwoman. Who of you think that you are superheroes? At least 1% of you are. Among us, there are those people who can summit Mount Everest without an oxygen tank, or people who have unbreakable bones, or
do they have unbreakable bones?
Who don't need to sleep. They only need 3 or 4 hours a night. And even those people who are immune to HIV. That's a superpower. There is now a company that will enable you to find out, are you a superhero? And what is your superpower for $29? But there's a challenge with this. You have to be born with this superpower.
Cool. Everyone emogust in chat.
And that's not enough. I want to be able to engineer my superpower. I want to be able to sleep 4 hours a night. And up till only about 3 years ago, it was nearly impossible. until we discovered CRISPR. Clustered, randomly interspersed, palindromic repeats. CRISPR.
So has she mapped her body with the 3 hours of sleep gene? I don't think it works that way.
CRISPR enables us to be able to do is to go into the genome very precisely in a targeted manner and delete, edit, add whatever we want to the genome. The tool like this in human hands doesn't enable us to just, for example, cure a genetic disease. But we're humans, we're creative. And when given a tool, we want to shape our world around us. And CRISPR enables us to do this.
Ultimately, our science...
We're going to get some crazy human homunculi shit at some point, and it's going to be pretty bad. They're going to try to do eugenics. Yeah. I don't have any problem with, like, the idea of trying to prevent horrible diseases and stuff from ravaging through our genome. But obviously, I think there is, you could see, like, oh, well, I guess I'm just going to fucking invent the Aryan race for real this time. And, you know, we have some kind of, like, you know, Nazi eugenicist guy.
Scientists today don't actually understand how to do this kind of genetic modification.
Homunculi, I'm already here. You're not a homunculi. You're a homuncule. Homunculi is plural. Homunculus is when we're together.
Right now, they know how to print out DNA with whatever kind of protein sequences they want, but they haven't quite figured out how to actually program that DNA with specific qualities.
It's such a powerful tool that already we've begun to become concerned with. If we have this tool, how might we edit our own humanity?
The only example that they use in this presentation is a deleted gene.
And just as an example, a year ago,
look at that swole-ass doggy.
A group of researchers in China showed the ability to delete the myostatin gene and give rise to Hulk the dog.
The example that I used in a previous video about genetic modification...
Stop it.
...was also a deleted gene. The liger grows so large because neither the mother or the father passed on the gene that tells the body when to stop growing. When someone has 6 fingers on their hand, it's not because they have an extra gene, it's because they're missing the gene that tells their hand when to stop developing fingers in the fetus.
Kepi. The thing scientists are finding after multiple decades of mapping the human genome is that there's never only one gene that activates one trait or another. Even something as seemingly simple as eye color involves almost all of your genetic code and how that was impacted by the environment to activate specific traits. That's why there hasn't been as much in the way of progress in finding the source of genetic disorders, cancers, etc. Because it's too complicated, huh? Yanapple, 6 months! Welcome!
Today, scientists know that if you delete certain genes, then the body cannot regulate certain kinds of growth. That's it. And I gotta say, deleting genes is the stupidest way to improve something.
These are the same.
Not necessarily. I mean, the gene can be a bad thing. Not every gene is good. Like adding it's not experience points. You know what I mean? Like in his expert gene opinion, right? I mean, they're gonna do what they want. I think we should just do these things ethically. I'm gonna delete the gene that makes Greg an idiot. It's not happening.
Same breed of dog, just the one on the left is missing a gene, and it becomes the Hulk.
Congratulations, you just cut that dog's lifetime in half. That dog's heart was never designed to support that much muscle mass. There's a reason why our body regulates the size of our organs. Our bodies have physical limits. Secretariat, the fastest horse ever, died really young. Turns out the reason it was so fast was because its heart was 4 times the size of a normal heart.
Damn. And that makes you fast because you can pump your horse blood faster.
That's also why it died young. On a superficial level, sure, we can say, great, we saw the fastest horse ever. But at the cost of its life.
Yeah, but that wasn't like intentional. I agree that sucks. I agree. Did you just say designed? I guess so.
At the cost of its own experience here on the planet. When you
designed.
play God, you curse something. You might be
Fosh mentioned with a horse.
able to get really jacked with the right formula. You might get people to marvel at how strong you are, but you're gonna find out one day that your muscles can lift more than your body can handle. And you'll start to lift something and your tendons will just snap. That happens to juicers all the time.
We do have correlation between what genetic code leads to what traits, but it's tenuous and it's developing over time.
Juicers, dude.
So we might want to give these traits to our children, but there's still some uncertainty and we don't understand the interactions.
You can't just genetically modify the body to have bigger muscles. You also have to modify the body to create stronger tendons, thicker bones, a more comprehensive cardiovascular system. You're just making it too complicated now. But Marvel seems bent on selling you their fantasy bullshit.
Marvel? Why are you pretending Marvel's at the center of the human genome CRISPR debate? Can't be Iron Man without the genetically modified CRISPR DNA. That's what it says in the movie. Iron Man 2. Can't be Iron Man without genetically modified CRISPR DNA. That's the lesson in every Iron Man movie. Look, man, I agree that there's a level of the Marvel stuff that is like, you know, billionaire corporation trying to get their money, dude. But also at the center of it, there's a bunch of people who, despite all that shit, are making art, dude. And you don't have to like the Marvel stuff. The Marvel stuff is falling off, right? It's getting. I mean, there's some good stuff out there. I really like Loki and I don't know, other projects. I'm sure I can't think of the last Marvel thing I liked besides Loki. I'm sure there's one or two, but I mean, nonetheless, man. I mean, you can't just say that every single little interaction here is just fucking covered by the military. Do you think any military members are just, you know, people that want to be in a movie? Can any military member think it's cool to be in a movie or something, you know, or want to also do art and also be in the military, you know? I mean, I think we can think of a few reasons why the military and movies might interact that aren't just nefarious, you know? It's not the only reason that the military interacts with movies. It's just not true. It's definitely one of the reasons, though. And you should consider taking this knowledge and asking yourself why all of this happens. And it's the pursuit of capital, by the way.
As if...
Oh, and extension of the American Empire. This is awful. Please touch it.
If it's already established science.
I can't believe it's
Our
the
ambit
whole
in general
fucking
tonight
video.
is to talk about the science of the Marvel Universe.
I'm here on a mission tonight. I want to change your perspective. You have to rethink what you mean by here and now.
So the issue here is about consciousness, the nature of consciousness.
Our entire system in the last decade.
Consciousness is a super interesting topic. Greg, don't you want to talk? Greg, come talk about the concept of consciousness with me. This is the best you've ever looked in a pause frame. Good for you, dude. Looking chiseled. Great brows. Movie studios aren't like actually buying fighter jets. Right. Jake wears the corn suit because his raw form is too much to handle. I have to be sheathed like a sword, or I'm just looking too sharp, chat. Huh? You guys like that. You guys like it, don't you? You little freaks. You just need a little bit. You just need a little bit of the good stuff. You just want buttery cob and nothing else. How can you be like this? Dirty.
Decade has shifted towards glorifying STEM field careers. Shows like
STEM.
Star Trek exist to create a sense of wonder and discovery in youth, hoping that
Star Trek doesn't just exist. Like, people write stories because they want to make art, man. Why is everything so crazy? Not every Star Trek episode was written to only sell the whimsy of science to the youths. It's just a benefit. It's cool. It's just cool.
One day they'll follow a career in organizations like NASA and help usher us into the future. And there is a beautiful version of that mentality. Most people going into those things embody that beautiful version of that mentality because they believe the propaganda. And I think that we all want to believe that our youth are being pushed into STEM fields for the same reasons that Gene Roddenberry made the future look prosperous. But the sad truth is that our system does not properly reward people for grinding to prove themselves.
Capitalism? Are we going to get into labor practices right here for some reason with 10 minutes left to go? 9.5 minutes? I'm ready. I'm fucking ready.
And improving humanity. I think that the most genuinely charitable people, the people who actually improve life for everyone on the planet, are taken for granted more than they are celebrated. And
yeah, man. That's so deep. Why won't he just say capitalism? Because he doesn't know. He doesn't know it's capitalism. He will not acknowledge it.
Look around you. Day by day, everything's getting slowly replaced by AI robots.
AI robots. He sounds like an old man yelling. Yeah. So, okay. All right. So, Greg. Everyone is subject to needing money under the capitalist system in order to survive and thrive and have any sort of future to look forward to, right? This includes, but it is not limited to, any sort of businesses and stuff. So businesses that use, any kind of automation whatsoever, including AI or whatever, are definitely going to move towards this. This is why AI is insidious and part of the problem with it. And part of the problem with people need to be focusing on our labor rights so that we have a way to make a living, right? Because they force us to make a living in order to have basic human needs. It's literally forced upon us by the system of capitalism. So company owners or whatever the fuck are incentivized by the mechanisms of capitalism to reduce labor at all costs, because it's by far one of the most expensive things you can do, right? Is have people that need work. So limiting the number of people that work for you is good, actually, under capitalism, which obviously is not super ideal. What we should have is a system that doesn't require work for living. It just, if you want to thrive in some way that that would afford you luxuries, then I think working for luxuries or non-necessities is perfectly fine and noble pursuit that not everyone is going to want. You're going to meet your end of how much you want to work, right? But everybody likes to work to some extent, even if it's just around the house or something, man. Everybody likes a little bit of something. Why can't you just accept that it's capitalist? It's not a conspiracy theory. There's no one at the wheel, man. We're monkeys on a rock. And they're just banging rocks on a different part of the planet. It's not a grand conspiracy. The big conspiracy is that there is no conspiracy, and it's more out of control and chaotic than you ever wanted to admit. That's the real fucking cope here with all conspiracy theory people. They don't want to admit that there is no fucking person in charge of anything. There are people who like to exert power over people, but they're not actually in charge. The earth does not listen to them. The cosmos do not care. What's going to happen is going to happen. It's big copium. Absolutely.
Teachers are the next thing on the chopping block to be replaced in the classroom. Our youth are being trained to serve that system, to serve that society.
What system in society, Greg? Which one? The capitalist system? Yeah, that's always been it.
We're one generation away from having an entire society of people who build and maintain robots. During the winter solstice.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with building and maintaining a robot. If that's what you're into, I don't mind. You can make robots. Or robots. He's like Will Smith in iRobot. This is how he views himself.
Soldier promotion, Marvel spearheaded a campaign to try to convince a bunch of girls to join STEM. And they even made working for them sound like a glamorous Hollywood experience. It's a job.
What do?
We fight.
Hi, I am Emily Van Camp, and I was with Olsen. Do you want to see how the movie got made? Wait, Emily. We can't let them inside because they're not part of the Marvel team. Right. Well, let's get out of here and tell them about an opportunity to earn their way inside.
In a perfect society,
Man, that ad was cringe and no one saw it at all, and it wasn't effective. This is a picture of Greg whistling
would be pushing our children to join STEM to improve humanity, to improve human longevity, to improve technology, just make life better.
Elizabeth and I are here to tell you about an amazing opportunity for girls just like you to explore your inner potential to reform the future with positive world change through STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math.
There's a version of reality where we let AI take over and we live in a utopian wonderland.
I just don't foresee that happening, but maybe.
Marvel, the National Academy of Sciences, Dolby Laboratories.
Why have I seen, what is this
Utopian
font?
Wonderland.
Marvel, the National Academy.
What is this font? I've seen this before. What is this? This looks like something else.
Of Sciences, Dolby Laboratories, Broadcom, and Synchrony Bank are challenging girls nationwide to develop innovative STEM-based projects. If you're between the ages of 15 and 18 in grades 10 through 12 and believe you have the potential of creating positive change in the world, you can submit an original project that can be as complicated or as simple as you wish.
But we all live in a capitalist society.
Gerg? He said capitalism. Are we doing it? Is it happening? He acknowledged that we're in a society and it is capitalist. All right, let me back up. I don't let him cook.
Or as simple as you wish.
Let him cook.
But we all live in a capitalist society that would prefer to offer us solutions in exchange for profit. I mean, hell, think about it. This is the military pushing this idea. Yet they let their own homeless veterans rot on the side of the street.
True.
They don't give a fuck. The truth is that the Pentagon just wants technological superiority.
Yep.
Period.
Yep.
They only want medical superiority to use on their active soldiers who still have pep, vigor, and patriotism coursing through their veins.
Right, but they're running out of that because it's failing. This is failing. I agree with you that they're exploiting a vulnerable class, usually of men, but obviously it's not just men. But they prey upon typically poor, out of options young men for military service. They come to high schools and shit. Like, hey boy, you in a trailer park? Why don't you go on here and get $35,000 a year to go kill some brown folks in an oil field? Hell yeah, brother. America.
This technology is not going to be used on the old and frail who have already outlived their usefulness. This is the outside of the military's matrix.
In Captain America's Civil War,
Matrix.
each hero is forced to take a stand and choose a side in their fight to reform the future. And although the team becomes divided, they remain united by the same goals: the commitment to safeguard humanity, protect the Earth at all costs, and make the world a better place for future generations. I'm really excited to meet these exceptional young women who have STEM backgrounds and who maybe also want to be part of more of a creative and science-based world, and Marvel's the perfect place for that.
You're seeing the outer edge of the military's machine. This is the direct propaganda department for the military-industrial complex.
So they do like just regular ads for the military-industrial complex as well. Like, it's so much worse than the depictions in fucking Captain America Civil War, which, by the way, is actually one of the more anti-military and anti-USA things. That's Fox News. This is, man, he's teetering on the edge of just not being crazy and just accepting reality, I think. We could do it. Greg, come talk to me about capitalism and why it's not all a grand conspiracy. How about this? I'll tell you, the real conspiracy is that it's just been capitalism all along, man. It's just been, well, not just that, also white supremacy. And it's both of those things intersection with religion informing it. But anyway.
Upon completion of the contest, 5 finalists will be selected and have the opportunity to come to California for the red carpet world premiere of Marvel's Captain America Civil War. And one very talented and lucky girl will be awarded the grand prize, an internship at Marvel Studios!
And that's the true American spirit right there, isn't it? The real reflection of the American dream. Putting the youth to work for free. Tricking them into thinking that their efforts are going to have deep meaning, convincing them to give away their labor and their spirit in exchange for nothing.
I like look. He's using the word labor there. Hey, look, we got something to work on here, huh? This is fertile ground right now. Greg, you're just use the word exploitation, and we're getting there. Comrade Greg, baby. Fucking full pinko.
And all they had to do was fill their heads with a bunch of fake dreams about the future through the altruistic persona of Captain America with the lie that's...
But you're cringe still. You can like Captain America. Here's the so you gotta understand. Okay, man, holy shit. We have to divest yourself from the facade and just run with the reality that you can like art that exists in the evil empire and also be opposed to the evil empire. If you really like Captain America, no problem. Don't care. I don't know why Captain America would be your favorite character or anything, but like maybe you're just really into Steve. Maybe you like Captain America because you really love Bucky, but you don't want to be Bucky because you love Bucky, so you want to be Captain America. You know, I get it. I don't get it, actually. I was going to say I get it and just be like, but I don't. Bucky sucks. Bucky's boring. What a boring fucking character. Who gives a shit? Ooh, Bucky. Fuck off.
Somehow their hard work will pay off. So have you guys ever wondered why there was so much rhetoric in the media about keeping men's opinions away from the Captain Marvel film?
Uh-oh. Now we're circling around the other drain.
C. Annenberg's Inclusive Initiative released findings that 67% of the top critics reviewing the 100 highest grossing movies in 2017 were white males. Less than a quarter were white women, and less than 10% were unrepresented men. Only 2.5% of those top critics were women of color. Am I saying that I hate white dudes? No, I'm not. But what I am saying is that if you make a movie that is a love letter to women of color, there is an insanely low chance a woman of color will have the chance to see your movie and review your movie.
Well, Captain Marvel was designed to...
How can you hear what she said and not understand what she's saying? What are you upset about there? Talk to me, Greg. What is wrong with you?
To sell a career in the Air Force to girls. So that was all about creating a fake us versus them mentality around the film.
She's not in the military in that movie anymore. She's gone. She's in the military for like a minute. And then she's outside of it. And then she's not always pro the military. Did you watch it? I don't even really, I fuck with Captain Marvel in the same way I fuck with like the Ant-Man movies. You know what I mean? They're there. I'm not going to go out of my way. All her military memories suck that way. I know, right? I love how he's acting like misogyny in Hollywood is a government military psyop. But specifically calling out the misogyny is the military psyop because that's what she did. I don't get it.
We're trying to light a fire under girls' asses by creating a fake sense of competition and hoping that that would convince girls that they had to prove that they're tough enough to run with the boys. Like, that was actually a theme in the film itself.
You do know why they call it a cockpit, don't you?
They had the guy look right at the camera to say that. He was saying that to your daughter.
You do know why they call it.
He was trying to piss you off. And
hey man, what if you saw a bad thing from the main character's perspective in a film? Whoa. Jesus, dude. Has he watched movies?
And anytime somebody had a legitimate criticism about the film, the media would turn around and say that that critic is just a woman hater.
The media? Do you mean like YouTubers? People on Twitter? I think it's really sussy for you to show that... Okay, there's a few things going on here. I think it's very sussy for you to show that clip that you did of Brie Larson and be like, I'm not a woman hater. And then also, every time you make one of these videos, you're mad at a woman inside of it. And you're mad at a woman in real life who's marrying a Catholic. He's a dork. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I do believe Greg's a better catch than the dork that she's marrying. But you got to get over it, man. She sucks. and just not on you anymore. And I think I think you got to get over that. I think you have to move on. I called the Brie Larson thing before the video even started. God, I can't believe it's a Brie Larson thing.
Well, now you know why they did that. And that shit works. The film is literally about teaching girls that they have something to prove against men. All that anti-man stuff around the film, that was never about men. That was about creating a perception of unjust inferiority around women, trying to convince them to join the military. And of course, there seems to be no room for discussion about
She's not having a good time in the military in that movie.
Stuff like this. Instead, the media blasts.
It definitely is more like, go shoot lasers out your fists.
Stories about culture war related stuff instead. The culture war is one of the most obvious distractions to keep us from looking at the real issues.
Culture war stuff. I agree that a lot of culture war stuff is distraction. I don't agree that it was fostered by the American government. It is absolutely an internet phenomenon that is used by politicians to gain favor with that populace. Like, I don't know how it's a reactionary thing from the American government. You can see how they were behind it and they had to catch up, right? Like, they're still like fucking 8 years behind this shit because they're old people. How can he be so right and so wrong at the same time? Because he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing.
Brie Larson is not a monster for hating men and making a shitty movie.
No one hates men. Why do you think Brie Larson hates men? Why are you such a pussy?
Brie Larson is a monster for trying to convince your daughter to become a drone pilot.
I don't think she was trying to make anyone be a drone pilot. I think she's an employee of a studio doing a movie. Brie Larson's not the monster here, dude. Why are you so dramatic?
We should hate Hollywood for trying to convince us to adopt self-destructive behaviors. We should hate Hollywood for trying to take our youth away from us, for trying to steal their innocence.
What is he? He used to. Oh my god! So what is he about? What is he just mad at Marvel now for stealing his innocence? What is going on?
We should be protecting our families from this corrupt, delusional propaganda that tries to convince us that we can all be heroes. But instead,
you can't have any fiction that says, hey man, you can do it. We have to have only black-pilled Greg. Greg, what are your top 10 favorite movies?
Ed, we're the ones taking our children to the theaters.
The Matrix.
To absorb these lies.
Good one.
I've praised the Wonder Woman film quite a few times in the past.
Why?
Take a lot of that with a grain of salt. Because it's one of these films too. Wonder Woman has a lot of
She's also an IDF super soldier.
Up with the boys in it, and hell, we love her for that. It's always been a theme in her stories. The thing is, if you take that formula and apply it directly to an actual military conflict that actually happened, and then you make the main characters rogue agents who are choosing to fight on the front lines of their own free will against orders, well, the message you're telling to girls is that it's valid to pick up a gun and join the front lines of a war to prove yourself against a bunch of boys.
Is he being sexist about war? Is he just being a sexist about war for some reason? Why? I mean, if you want to go to war, you could definitely do that.
And the thing is, I can like that film for what it is and what it's trying to do.
Wars for the boys only. We got to protect the women. We just have to protect the women from the wars. You guys can't be revolutionaries because you're girls. Girls with weak wrists and arms to hold guns.
The context of who it is that's making it and why they're doing it, it kind of leaves a sour taste in my mouth. I mean, Wonder Woman is about trying to get girls to join the Air Force too. It's Air Force propaganda too, both. And the thing is, some of these things are not even really wrong to teach to girls.
I don't think Wonder Woman is Air Force propaganda for girls. I think it has I think we tell stories about human stuff, and the Air Force exists in humanity, and they have the resources to go get a plane from the American government, and they're like, oh, cool, the government will just give us a free plane for our movie, so maybe we should just add this so we can do it more simply than just doing spaceships or whatever. Like, it happens all the time, dude. There's so much more interesting things you could do with your time.
I remember even praising some of these films for some of these aspects. But it's the why. Why are these films telling these things to our children? Why are these
children
films featuring these themes? It's because they want your sons and daughters to sell their lives away in the name of patriotism. They want your...
So that's part of the military wants to recruit for sure, but recruiting is going terribly.
Children.
I don't know why. I don't know why he doesn't listen.
To die on some random battlefield somewhere, believing that they're Captain America. They want your kids.
No, I don't think many soldiers have died in war thinking I'm Captain America, dude. I'm fucking literally Captain America. I'm Steve Rogers, a super soldier, and I'm gonna win the war single-handedly, be a hero. Some of them probably. I'm gonna need your approved movie list. I really need Greg's approved movie list, yeah. You knew the rules. You knew those fucking rules, dude.
To think they're the Punisher. America has become absolutely deluded.
That was the banger. America has become absolutely deluded was the last thing. The last goddamn thing. Well, I don't think that Greg is very bright about stuff, and I wish he was. That's my conclusion I've come away with. I think it would be very simple for you to understand this in much easier terms, like capitalism. I think we should talk. I think it's time. I think you're close enough. I definitely think you are close enough. You just have to understand that capitalism is the intersecting force here. And I think we're good to go. I think we'd be happy little guys. Makes me sad that he came up with Penisman. I came up with Penisman. He was there for it, though. It's a good time, dude. All right. I guess that's the end of that video. There is no conspiracy theory. There's no conspiracy theory too conspiratorial for Gerg. This is... It's kind of dumb because it's like you could just observe what's actually happening and be present with us in the real world. But instead it is just sadness. He doesn't have any ability to synthesize this information. It all has to be some kind of like web of lies. What if it was okay? What if humanity doesn't have any perfectly nefarious actors like Lex Luthor? They're not that competent. And what if they're just a bunch of bumbling idiots and they're trying to do propaganda pretty ineffectively while doing American movies? All right. Anyway, that's the end. If you like more Greg content, I'm sure we'll watch the next one where he tries to convince us that I don't know who would be the next. Who's the biggest celebrity that I don't know. He's got to make a Sydney Sweeney video soon. It's coming.